Hello, my dear friends. Myself is Rajesh Wadhwani. I recently passed land and building valuation exam and started Hari Seva IBBI land and building valuation cracker YouTube channel. This is our fourth session of valuation of real estate chapter. Till time we have learned cost, price and value, type of value, basic element of value, factor affecting the value, and highest and best use, value in use, value in exchange. Today we will learn real property, right and interest in real estate, type of ownership and type of occupancy in real estate. Also we will learn real estate market and its characteristic, investment in real estate. So let us start. Real property. Real property can be classified into two broad categories: movable property or immovable property, as outlined below. So movable property and immovable property. Movable property that can be moved from one location to another location without changing its nature. Property that is fixed to the earth and cannot be moved without destruction or alteration, that is called immovable property. Movable property examples are car, jewelry, furniture, equipment, personal belongings. And immovable property examples are land, building, house, any structure fixed to the ground. Movable property portable, not fixed to the particular location, and immovable property fixed to the ground. Movable property ownership transfer is relatively easier. Immovable property transfer typically involve more complex legal procedures, selling land and buildings. This is the movable property, immovable property. Same time, real estate and real property are tangible and intangible assets. Tangible asset, physical asset that can be seen, touched and measured. Tangible asset is that asset which can you touch it, feel it, and you can do the measurement it. That is called physical assets. Intangible asset, non-physical asset that cannot represent, that non-physical asset that represent only rights or ownership but cannot be touched. Intangible assets are those assets which cannot be touched. Sometime MCQ come 1 number mark, what is a tangible asset and intangible asset. They give the definition. They will ask this is a tangible or it is intangible. Intangible asset, land, building, vehicles, machinery and jewelry. Intangible asset, goodwill, copyrights, patents, trademark, easement rights are coming in intangible assets. Tangible asset, concrete and physical in form, that is abstract and non-physical but valuable. Valuation based on the physical characteristics and condition. Value based on market recognition, legal right and financial benefit, that is called intangible assets. And third is what is a real property and real estate. What is the difference between real property and real estate? They are looking both the same terms. There nothing looks they are different, but actually both are the different things. Real estate primary refer to the physical land, buildings. I am talking for real estate. Primary refer to physical land and buildings, while real property focus on the legal rights associated with owning such land and building. So real estate are physical land and building, A real property is a right in the property. You are having ownership of the property. You are having tenants in the property. That are the real property that you are having the rights. We will learn. We will see both the differences in both terms. Real property, legal rights and interests attached to the land and buildings. Real In property, legal rights and interests attached to the land and buildings. Whatever you are having rights with the land and building, that is called a real property. And physical land and structure that can be seen and touched is called a real estate. Concept: a notional or legal concept, ownership right and interest. What is the ownership right with you, or what is your interest in the property? That is called a real property. A physical concept: actual land, building and structure is the real estate. Example: right to sell, lease or mortgage the land or buildings are real property. Real estate: land, residential or commercial buildings that can be touched physically. To avoid confusion between these terms in real estate and real property, it is often better to use the term immovable property, as it covers both real estate and real property. So we will use term mostly immovable property. Immovable property cover both the real estate and real property. Right and interest in real estate. This is a very important because valuer do the valuation of property with right and interest only, not a cubic meter of concrete or cubic meter of brickwork and other these things. So this understanding is very important for land and building valuer. As a land and building valuer, we are not just valuing the physical assets like brick and concrete. You are not going to assets doing valuation for calculating how much brick quantity or concrete quantity. As a valuer, we are primarily valuing the rights and interests associated with the property. Real estate ownerships come with a bundle of rights. These are the legal rights transferred from the seller to buyer. This bundle includes the right to use, lease, sell or develop the property. Understanding this right is essential for accurate property valuation because they directly impact the value. For example, a property with restricted right such as zoning limitation or long-term lease will have a different value compared to a property with full ownership rights. Therefore, when valuing a property, it is important to first assess both the rights and of ownership and right of occupancy tied with the immovable property. So, valuer has to assess rights of ownership or rights for occupancy tied with to the immovable property. Key rights in real estate of ownership. First right is right of possession. The owner has the legal right to possess the property even if they do not physically occupy it. The owner is the legal right of possession. Right to control. The owner can control the property used within legal boundaries such as leasing or modifying it. Right to exclusion. The owner can prevent others from entering the property with exception like emergency or utility access. Right of enjoyment. The owner can use the property freely for legal purpose. Right of disposition. Owner can sell, lease, transfer the property as desired by him. These are the rights of ownership. And now liabilities of ownership and power. Right to use and enjoy. The owner can benefit from the property use. Right to consume, destroy, or alienate. The owner may alter the property, can destroy the property or transfer of the property as per his or his will. Right to retain residual interest. The owner retains certain rights such as reclaiming the property after a lease ends. Ownership and occupancy aspect. Both ownership, legal rights, and occupancy, use of property must be evaluated to determine the property true value. This clear understanding of right ensure proper property valuation. These are the very important, and one mark MCQ is coming on the rights also. Now we will learn ownership and occupancy. First we go type of ownership. Ownership is an incorporeal right vested in a person by law, representing the relationship between the person and the property. It involves a bundle of rights, including special and limited rights, liabilities, and power over the property. This right can apply to corporeal assets like tangible, movable, and immovable property, say car, building, machines, as well as incorporeal assets like intangible items, copyrights, patents, trademark, leasehold rights. Ownership does not always have to be sole. It can often be shared among multiple parties. In such a case, the valuation focuses not on the full or part ownership but on the interest in the property. Referred to as a bundle of rights, this right represents the benefit the owner, mortgager, or lessee derive from their stake in the property. A property can be owned by individual, partnership, association, or cooperative, and with a different ownership type, lessor, lease, mortgager, or co-owner. In valuation, this task is to assess the clearly defined the bundle of rights based on the property characteristic and ownership structure to determine its true value. Then we go the ownership of bundle of rights. The owner's bundle of rights are: use of property. Owner has the right to use the property in any manner, including altering or modifying it, as long as it does not cause a nuisance to others. Exclusive possession. The owner has the right to enjoy the property exclusively, controlling access and use by others. Derive benefit. The owner can obtain income or other profit from the property, such as through renting or leasing. Disposal of property. Owner can transfer the property through sale, gift, will during their lifetime. Granting right. The owner has the authority to grant a lease, create a mortgage, or induct a license on the property. This bundle of rights define the owner control, benefit, and ability to transfer the property. These are the ownership bundle of rights. And now we go how many type of ownerships. This for simplification, I have put all the ownership in the tabular form, so easy to understand. So we first ownership is called individual or sole ownership. A single person holds 100% right in the property. Joint ownership. Two or more people jointly own the property. If one owner dies, their right merge with the surviving joint owner. Co-ownership, tenant in the common. Multiple owners hold the individual right. If one co-owner dies, their share passes to their legal heir, not to the surviving co-ownership. And now both are the different type of ownership: joint ownership and co-ownership. In joint ownership, if say in a property 4 owner is there, each should be equal percentage of share, 25, 25, 25, 25. If one person die, so this 25% of that person will transfer equal to 3%. Then everyone will ownership of 33.3, 30.3, 30.3 percentage. If 2% die, so balance 2 owners will get the ownership of 50% of 50%. In co-ownership is a different type of ownership. In this, say three owner, if one owner all having the equal shares, it also it not necessary in they are having the equal share. If one owner having 50%, second owner 25%, third owner is 25% ownership. If first owner die, which are having the 50% property stake, so this 50% not transferred to balance co-owner. This 50% will transfer to co-ownership. So one number MCQ so many times is coming in joint ownership and between co-ownership. Fourth one is the ownership by firm and limited company. In a firm, the individual partner own the property. In a limited company, the property owned by the company as a legal entity, represented by its directors. Ownership by trust. Trustee hold ownership of the property on behalf of the beneficiary of the trust. Ownership by Hindu undivided family. The Karta of HUF manage the property on behalf of the family members. Ownership by government, state government, development board, industrial corporation and municipality. Property is owned by the central government, state government or municipality, managed by the designated officer, commissioner or board chairman. And next one is ownership by cooperative society. In a tenant ownership, the society purchase land and lease it to members. In tenant co-partnership, the society may build and recover cost from the members. Owner of Waqf property. Waqf property is vested in Allah through a Muttawalli, trustee or manager. Next, ownership is the ownership by temple board or religious trust. Ownership of temple property is vested in a Hindu deity managed by Sarbat or Mant, who act as a representative of the deity. Ownership by military. Military or central government owns the cantonment area. A cantonment board manages the development and property transfer in this area. Ownership by mortgage. Ownership can be legal or equitable depending on the mortgage agreement. So these are the ownership of the property. Now we go for occupancy. Occupancy refers to the legal right of person or entity to use or inhabit a property. It defines how a property is being utilized, whether by the owner, tenant, or another party. Understanding the type of occupancy is critical as it affects how a property is managed, valued, and transferred. Occupancy can vary widely, and each type governed by different law of acts. This means that the valuation of property can differ based on the occupancy status, and it is essential for a valuer to have detailed knowledge of type of occupancy and associated legal implications. So how the following are all the type of occupancy. The first one is owner occupied. The property is occupied by the owner for personal or business use. Lease property. This property is leased to a tenant under a fixed term agreement generating a rental income. Third one, rental and residential occupancy. The property is used for residential purpose either by the owner or rented out to tenant, and it may include home, apartment or other dwellings units. Commercial occupancy. This property is used for business purpose such as office, shop or retail establishment, generating income through a commercial activity. Industrial occupancy. This property is used for industrial purpose like manufacturing, warehousing or production. Zoning law and regulation are critical factor in this type of occupancy. Next, a government and public occupancy. The property is occupied by government entity or used for public purpose such as a school, hospital or government office, often within restriction on sale or use. Mixed use occupancy. The properties serve multiple purposes such as a mix of residential and commercial use, requiring a valuation approach that reflects both the aspects. So occupancy, next one, occupancy impact on the valuation. The type of occupancy play critical role in property valuation. Different occupancies such as owner occupied, lease or commercial require different valuation approach. So it is must valuer to understand which type of occupancy, accordingly he will do the valuation. For example, the owner occupied property may have emotional value but lack income potential, while lease or commercial property offer income but may face legal restrictions like rent control and zoning law. A valuer must consider factors such as the duration of occupancy, tenants' right and market condition. Long-term lease offer a stable income but reduce flexibility, while short-term lease increase risk. Understanding this factor along with the local law and regulation is essentially to accurate property assessment. These are the occupancy and ownership, and we have learned rights and interest. Right and interest in real estate. Now we move to real estate market and its characteristics. Tangible asset. Real estate refer to land and building and natural resources. Its physical presence make it a tangible asset. Real estate is a heterogeneous market. Heterogeneous market, the definition will clear to you. Each real estate property is unique in terms of location, size, design and use, making the market highly localized and distinct of every property. Each and every property is different, just like a two brother. If two brother face is not same way in property. Two property cannot be same. So many difference will be there due to their attributes like location, size, design, use, wind direction and vista and other. So the heterogeneous market hai. Each real estate property is unique in terms of location, size, design and use, making the market highly localized and distinct for every property. Just as no two brothers have identical face, no two real estate property are exactly the same. This uniqueness makes the real estate market varied and specific to each property. Now we study illiquidity. Real estate not easily converted into cash make it less liquid compared to the other investment assets. Selling property can take months or even years depending on market condition. So real estate is not easy to sell. If you want to sell it, your property, it will take time, sometime 2 months, 3 months, 6 months and 1 year. So liquidity is not easy in real estate. Durability. Real estate asset typically have a long lifespan and can generate income over time, such as through rental or capital appreciation. High transaction cost. Buying or selling property involves significant costs like brokerage fee, legal fee, stamp duty and taxes, which added to the overall expenses of the transaction. The stamp duty in India, every state having different. It vary to 5 to 10%. So 10, if stamp duty say 7 to 8%, if you are purchasing property 100 lakhs, you have to pay stamp duty 7 to 8%, 1% brokerage fee and other legal fees is separate, and other taxes you have to pay separately. Government regulation. Real estate is subject to various regulations including zoning law, property tax and land use control and environment restriction, all of which can affect property value and market dynamics. The government regulation, rules and regulation also affecting the property value. Demand and supply factor. The real estate market is heavily influenced by the demographics, economic condition, interest rate and government policies such as tax incentive, affordable housing scheme and infrastructure development. These are the real estate market and its characteristic. Now, real estate market is not a perfect market, it is an imperfect market. So sometime MCQ coming, real estate market, the perfect, yeah, imperfect market, true, not true, maybe, not maybe. So real estate market is imperfect market. Real estate is often considered an imperfect market due to several factors that prevent it from achieving the characteristic of a perfectly competitive market. Here is why imperfect market. Asset heterogeneity. Two property cannot match. Both property are highly unique and varying characteristic even in the same locality, making pricing and comparison difficult. High transaction costs associated with the buying and selling property are substitutional, creating barrier of frequent trading. Real estate cannot sell and buy just like you purchasing shares. Share market. And share market number of buyer will be more in lakhs. In real estate, buyer will be very few, 5, 10, 12 that want that locality. Limited liquidity. Unlike stock or bond, real estate cannot be sold quickly without potentially reducing the price. Lengthy and cumbersome acquisition process. Purchasing or selling a property involves negotiation, complex legal procedure, documentation, and registration, often causing delay. Sometimes it will take 2 to 3 months time. No central market. Unlike stock traded on exchange, there is no centralized marketplace for real estate transactions. The market is fragmented and local, varying from city to city, even neighborhood to neighborhood. Few buyer and seller. The number of potential buyer or seller for a specific property or location often limited, reducing competition and affecting pricing. What is the heterogeneous market? वो हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं, क्योंकि कई बार एक नंबर का एमसीक्यू हेटेरोजेनस मार्केट पर आता है. तो विषम बाजार, इसका मतलब है हर संपत्ति अपने स्थान, आकार, डिजाइन, उपयोग में अलग होती है. जैसे दो भाई ब्रदर्स का फेस और फीचर्स आपस में नहीं मिलते हैं, वैसे ही टू प्रॉपर्टी आपस में सेम नहीं होती, जिसके कारण बाजार एक समान नहीं होता बल्कि स्थानीय स्तर पर विभाजित होता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड हेटेरोजेनस. This heterogeneous definition, you remember it, sometime one mark MCQ is coming. This factor together make the real estate market imperfect, as it does not meet the condition of perfectly competitive market where all goods are homogeneous. Here no property are homogeneous, so it is called a imperfect market, and there is a free access to information and mobility. Now investment in real estate. Real estate property are generally considered a sound investment due to their potential for long-term return and tangible benefits. However, like any investment, they come with both advantage and drawbacks. Okay. Real estate is sound investment, but some drawbacks is also there. Both positive or negative points are there. Advantage of investing of real estate: safety of capital. Real estate investment are relatively safe even if the property is acquired by authority for public use or for the capital invested is not extinguished and compensation is provided. So there is safety of capital. If you are, I tell a simple language, if you are purchasing property in 50 lakhs, so after 5 years, 10 lakhs, you will get the more than the capital value, 50 lakh, more than the 50 lakhs. So there is a safety of capital. In share market, it is not possible. If you are buying share of 5 lakhs, cost may go 8 lakhs, it cost may go to 3 lakhs also. And higher rate of return. The rate of return on the real estate investment is typically 1 to 2% higher than the yield from long-term government security, making an attractive option for the investor seeking higher return. In real estate rental property, you will get the 1%, 0.5% or 2% higher than the fixed deposit interest rate. Rental income. Property can generate rental income which can be either regular or irregular depending on the terms of the lease. For self-occupied property, investors save on rental expenses equivalent to the rental value of the premises. Capital recovery. When a property is sold or transferred, the investor is assured of recovering the capital. However, the amount recovered may vary, higher, lower, or equal to the original investment, depending on factors like market condition and type of property. Owner-occupied property is generally appreciated over time, whereas property in the rent-controlled area may bring in lower return. We will study Rent Control Act in detail in separate chapter. Hedge against inflation. This is also important. Sometime MCQ will come, real estate property hedge against, तो that answer is inflation. महंगाई के खिलाफ ये सुरक्षा है. hedge against inflation तो हिंदी में हम बोल सकते हैं महंगाई के खिलाफ ये सुरक्षा. Real estate can act as a hedge against inflation, particularly for self-occupied or vacant property. However, property rented out under rent control law may not offer this benefit. Okay, real estate can act as a hedge against inflation of particularly for self-occupied or vacant property. If you are given on rent against Rent Control Act, then you will not get the benefit hedge against the inflation. Capital appreciation. Properties in developed area, particularly owner-occupied ones, have a good chance of appreciation in value over time, thus offering a potential for long-term capital growth. So your property will be appreciated in long term. Leverage. Real estate allow for leveraging where only 10 to 15% of property value need to be paid upfront, with the remainder financed through loans. The property itself can be used as collateral, making real estate investment accessible to many. You take the loans, you paying 10 to 20% from upfront, balance 70 to 80% loan, you can take the property. Livability. Real estate is unique investment because you can live in it. If the property is not rented out, it can be used by family, friends, and personal use also. Now, drawbacks in the real estate. Above was the benefit in the real estate, advantage in the real estate. Now we will go for drawback. Indivisibility of property. Sometime one mark MCQ is come on. Real estate property is indivisibility. Yes, it is indivisibility. मतलब संपत्ति का विभाजन कठिन है. आप एक प्रॉपर्टी को, आपका एक फ्लैट है, उसको 4 पार्ट्स में अलग अलग डिवाइड नहीं किया जा सकता, 4 ब्रदर में डिवाइड नहीं किया जा सकता है. So this is the one major drawbacks. Dividing real estate assets, especially those jointly owned, is often difficult and can lead to dispute. This lack of divisibility reduces the flexibility of the investment. Next is illiquidity. Real estate cannot be easily converted into cash. The process of selling property involves lengthy formality like title verification, which can be both time consuming and costly. High transaction cost. The cost of transferring real estate is high due to the expenses such as stamp duty, legal fee, brokerage, and advertisement cost. This additional charges can significantly reduce the net return on the investment. The high transaction cost, if your property is 100 lakhs, the total transaction cost will be 7 to 8 lakhs. So you will reduce your profit margin by 7 lakhs, 7 to 8 lakhs. Management burden. Managing a property involves expenses for repair, maintenance, property tax, insurance, and rent recovery. This responsibility adds to the financial and managerial burden on the property owner. Difficulty in rising loans. Rising loans against real estate can be complicated and costly due to high legal and administrative fee as well as the stamp duty required for mortgage agreement. Minimum tax benefit. The tax benefit associated with the real estate investment are relatively limited compared to other forms of investment. You are not getting any tax benefit, only loan if you are taking and you are paying interest to bank. On that interest amount you will get some benefit. If you are not taking loan, and then you will not get any tax benefit on the property. Complexity of transaction. The process of buying and selling real estate is cumbersome, involving extensive documentation, legal procedure, and high costs such as stamp duty, brokerage charges, legal and transfer fee, etc., which can delay transaction. So thank you, my dear friends. Today we have learned real property and real estate market and characteristics. Next, we will go annuity, year purchase, and formula valuer are using in the real estate. Thanks all of you. If you are liking the video, please subscribe my channel